Hey guys, no video for our castles and old buildings in Japan playlist. This old house is actually next door to the old farmhouse, and this house has been empty for probably 15 or 20 years. Nobody's lived in it, but it still seems to be in pretty good condition, doesn't it? It's obviously overgrown, looking pretty rough, but structurally it seems to be pretty sound, doesn't it? However, at about 12 o'clock at night, recently, we were sitting there at 12 o'clock at night, and suddenly there was a big creaking sound followed by a big crashing sound. What the heck's that? So I went outside and we couldn't find the cause of it. We checked our house, made sure our house was okay, and it was. There'd been some light rain, no wind at all, light rain. And we checked our house and our house was okay. And so I went back inside, and then the next morning we came out and had a bit of a look around and found that that roof on this old house next door had collapsed. So from our place, this is the perspective. We can't see the house really from the old farmhouse at all. It's behind all that, all the bamboo and all the trees. And that's been the problem, apparently. That's contributed to it. So there's been a big build-up of leaves on the gutters, and then where the tiles sit on a pretty thick layer of mud. The roof tiles sit on a pretty thick layer of mud. We showed you videos about that before. And of course the walls are full of mud, and so that's all good. If the buildings are maintained, they can last forever if they're well maintained. However, with these old ones, the problem is if water starts to get into the mud and soaks up into the mud, and then the wood underneath the mud gets wet, and then the wood rots, and then more water gets in, and then the roof begins to buckle. The mud gets heavier because it's so heavy, and then when the wood weakens with rot, so you're seeing straight into the ceiling there, into the roof. Somebody stored some stuff up there at some stage, and then you can see underneath where that stuff is, there's another dark hole. That's actually into the house itself. So now this is collapsed. That's going to be it now. The rain and the weather's going to be going straight in. Once the mud in the roof gets wet, once the mud in the walls gets wet, and then the timber rots, and then everything loses its structure and it all starts to fall apart. And because of course the roofs are extremely heavy, the wood and the mud and the tile is extremely heavy, so if there's any structural failure at all, soon the whole thing fails. So it's sad to see, it really is sad to see. If it had just been maintained, it would have been okay, but I mean, it's sort of inevitable. This place is going to get demolished anyway, and someone will probably eventually build a new house on it, on this block. So the way we got this footage was a really long pole with the camera on the end of it. So, yeah, from this side it all looks good, doesn't it? You wouldn't believe it, would you? So, its days are numbered. Once the city notice that it's falling down, then it'll be the end of it. They'll give a demolition order then, probably. They'll have to demolish it. Anyway, there it was. More videos coming soon.